So the data controls mainly used to show some data on your web page. Okay, so let me open that. I think nothing material. Okay, so before that, I want to discuss with you a very simple uh, topic, so which will make you very understandable. Okay, so this is my welcome page. So it is here. So this is my page. When you see, I added only one web form. Okay, so initially what I do is I just right click on my project. I will go to add a web form. So sample I am giving. So if I click OK, it creates a sample web form. Okay, with this two more file sample.aspx file, one got created. With that sample.aspx.cs, another file got created, and then sample.aspx.designer, this is the third file got created. So these two came under the main, so the main file sample.aspx. So what is sample.aspx means? This is designer which will be presented to your client, the end user. Whatever you design here, that will be presented to the end user. Okay, so that you can see here in sample.aspx. This page has two modes, one is source and another is design. The final one is split. So you can see design and source code both at a time. Okay, so for Windows developer, the design mode works well because they can drag and drop items directly. Okay, so the other thing, the sample.aspx.cs, this is actually the code behind file. If you see on my sample.aspx file, go to source mode. If you see in this mode, so our auto event wire up. So this property says, so, whenever some button click or some control events are happened, the events will be automatically binded to the respective events. For the controls, whatever event you are giving, that event will be automatically binded to the control, respective control. And code behind is, this is the main thing. Okay, so for this page, the backend code is your C# file. So front end, you will have all the server controls, whatever data user inputs, that has to be processed by your server. So that server side code will be placed in your sample.aspx.cs file. Okay, till this you are clear? Okay, these are same like your web forms only, win forms, sorry. So and sample.aspx.designer.cs, this file will hold all the properties. This will create automatically. So nobody are not supposed to edit this file. You can see on the top of this in comments, this code was generated by a tool. Changes to this file may cause incorrect behavior and will be lost if the code is regenerated. Okay, so you are not supposed to edit this file, just you can view it. So what is this file means? This is the bridge between your server side code and your ASP.NET page, means between your C# and ASP.NET. Okay, so it will, whatever control you added here, it will create a particular property with the same name. Okay, checkbox I created, checkbox 1, it is there. So if I go to this file, you can see a new property got created, so of type checkbox. So it is a bridge between your ASP.NET file, ASPX file and C# file, so that the properties whichever this control has, same properties are replicated in this class. So you can access whatever values inputted or whatever properties that are changed on your ASPX space through this property in your C# file. Okay, this is your C#. Okay, from here. Okay, so that is what I am explaining here. So your sample.asp space, all ASP.NET server controls, JavaScript and CSS. This file contains, this is ASPX file, and then designer file is there. So controls respective objects and their values. So all the properties control respective objects will be created here, and their values or properties, they are maintained in this file, and then code behind file, that is CS file. So C# code to manipulate the user input data in sample.aspx means on front end whatever user enters, the data can be manipulated in code behind file, as well as using UI events raised from the server controls. So all the server controls, as we discussed in the beginning, ASP.NET is a event driven technology. So here whatever events raised by server controls, for that you can write some code blocks, they will be executed on the event raise. Okay, and then calls to the external classes, libraries and services. So whatever another C# classes you can call, you can execute the methods from other C# libraries. Okay, so all this can be performed in your code behind file. You should be clear with this. Any doubts you can ask me now. Okay, I hope you guys are clear. So this is what actually, so this is very important, because the flow is the same way. User enters or performs some actions on this page, those will be handled in code behind file. So from here you have to do the database inserts or some server side processing you have to do in this CS file only. Okay, that's very important. ASPX space only for user interactions, whereas CS file is to perform some operations or some processing, server side processing you can implement in your C# file, that is code behind class. Okay, the same thing is defined here for this ASPX page. What is the code behind file? So this is the respective code behind file for this front end file. Okay, so if you want to switch between these two files, you can do right click here, view code, so that it will open C# and right click on this CS file. You can see view designer option. Then you will be taken to this ASPX file designer mode. Okay, till this you guys are clear, right? Okay, fine. So next is data source controls. Okay, what are these data source controls? These data source controls, they provide the ability to bind some data to your data controls. So data controls are there, data source controls are there. Data controls actually, they present the data from a table or from a data in a user defined format. Okay, user, whatever the way user wants to see, the same way the data controls will present the data to user. But for them, there should be some source, so data should be sent, or that should be something has to give that data, right? So those are called data source controls. Okay, so these data source controls, we have different types. Okay, one is XML data source, sitemap data source, and even SQL, like that we have. But the main thing is these data source controls, they will automatically execute some operations, like they will select the data, and they will do some catching, and pagination they will provide. Pagination I will discuss, okay, in detail. And manipulating the data. Manipulating means you can add, edit, delete, these kind of operations. So these kind of operations can be performed by using your data source controls. So these are just like your ADO.NET, but these will provide a bridge between your ASP.NET page to your data source. Data source means it can be different things. One can be your SQL Server, your link queue. Link queue we have seen already, right? So that link queue data source it can be, and then another is XML data and sitemap data source. So this kind of data that can be shared, that can be presented in data controls by using data source controls. So data source means this is some source from where it fetches data from some other actual data storage systems, and it will give it to the data controls, which will present the data to user in a beautiful manner or in a defined format. Okay, so these data source controls further they are eligible, they are able to give some operations like you can select the data, you can manage the data, like you can manage the presentation like paging, catching, and etc. And manipulating the data means you can edit, update, delete. Okay, these kind of operations are possible to perform using data source controls. Okay, so data source controls we have SQL data source, object data source, link queue data source, access data source. So SQL data source, as you know, all it can be any SQL server. From SQL server, it will fetch the data from a table and it will present to the end user. Object data source, it allows binding to a custom .NET business object that returns the data. So list of persons, this can also you can, this kind of objects also you can bind to your data controls. Link queue data source, so a link queue query result, it can be binded to your data controls. And access data source, Microsoft Access is another database, from that you can bind data to your data controls. Okay, so any confusion in this, or you guys are clear? Okay, I hope you guys are clear. Okay, fine. So the next thing is data controls. Okay, so data controls, we have different types of data controls. Okay, so all these are the data source controls and data controls, all are available under your toolbox when you open a ASPX page in Visual Studio. From you can go to view and then click on toolbox. It will open a toolbox. In this toolbox you have all these are controls. These can be used in your ASPX page. Under that you have a section called data. If you expand this section, you can get all the controls available here. Okay, among these we have very popular things we will see today. Okay, one is grid view. This is very popular and very important in interview perspective, as well as when you start your career in ASP.NET. So this is very useful to present data. Okay, so as we see in our WinForms, the same way you can use the grid view here. Okay, there it is data grid view, here it is grid view. Okay, so the grid view has many features when you compare to any other control in this data section. Okay, the controls of type data section, among all the controls, grid view has the many features. It supports pagination. So pagination means, I will run and I will show you. Okay, so grid view sample, this is my sample. So I have two controls. in my page, two grid views. Okay, top one you forget about it. The down one you can see. This you might have seen many on many websites. So there may be some rows presented here. Okay, so maybe I have given here only 5 rows to show at a time. Okay, next I can go to second page. Okay, so second page it will present the next file, the next available file. If not, whatever the available number it will show. So what you can do is you can define the number of records per page. Per page means very first time how many you want to show, next time how many you want to show, like that. So the page says you can in sets of 5 you can show like that. So this is one advantage of grid view. And it will provide default actions like edit, delete, select. So in WinForms you have seen already we have designed uh, some place like manage classes or all other screens. What we have done is we provided some name text box, description text box. Below that we have add, update, delete and cancel buttons, and then below that we have data grid view. Here what you can have is edit operation. Directly it is possible here. So see this one, MSC. Okay, I can do this one small letters. Okay, here only I can update. Okay, so this is updated to my database even. And if I want to delete, I can delete it here. Okay, I'm not deleting because it will delete directly. And then select means this row will be selected. You can see the selected row, whichever you selected, it got highlighted. Okay, so these operations you need not to write a single line of code, and it provides you all the way. In simple setting customizations it will provide you all these things. Okay, we will see how it is possible. Okay, so this one sample I have added. So let me remove this checkbox. So what I am going to do is I will drag and drop a grid view here. Okay, so by default the control will show this thing, auto format. You have many options in grid view, so the format you can select. So what way it has to display your grid view data means the grid view mainly to display some collection of data. Okay, that can be a result of a query in SQL server or some collections of data. Okay, collections means a list view, a list. Okay, C# list or some arrays of data, or your ADO.NET objects like data table, data set. Okay, some huge data if you want to show same kind of huge data if you want to show on web page, you can use grid these data controls. Among them grid view is very popular. Okay, and you will get many questions on grid view. Some people if they start on grid view, they will not stop, so they may ask you about grid view for 10-15 minutes alone on grid view. Half of your interview time will be on grid view itself. Okay, so you can select some beautiful color here. Okay, okay, this one I'm selecting. Okay, that is auto format. And the data source you can select. So as we discussed earlier, we have these many available data sources: database, entity data source means it can be any class. Okay, ADO.NET entity framework model. So it is saying entity framework. So this is not part of our course. So entity framework we are taking it out. But I can tell you what is entity framework. So we have seen some time back the link you to SQL server. We directly created a DBML file. That file directly pointed to our database, and it fetched all the tables and everything. Without writing a single line of code, we were able to insert the data to database, and to we were able to get the data from database. Everything was possible by link you to SQL. The same way entity framework is advanced to link you to SQL and faster. Okay, so this link you, the same thing what I discussed now, link you to SQL. Object means it can be a collection, middle tier business object, or data set in the bin or app code directory for the application. So it can be any object, a list of persons, that. Okay, sitemap means it is another form of XML. Okay, so this will be used only. Sitemap is a different concept, so that is not required to discuss here. And then XML. So we saw the sample of XML. So all the person's data you can keep in XML. That XML file you can bind it here. Okay, so SQL database I'm telling now. So we have already created one SQL database. So this one, class manager, I'm giving. Now click on OK. You select your database connection string. Okay, so this is already created on my system. So if you have not created, just go to new connection, define your local server, Windows authentication. Okay, and then select your database name. Okay, and click on OK. That's fine. It will come here. So this is my database. Next, it will fetch all the tables available in my database. So now you have the options, two types of options. One is you can use a stored procedure, okay, or else you can use a table. You can directly bind it here. Okay, so what I am doing is I will go with table. So I will take examination, id, name, description. Next, and test query, there is no tables. Okay, let me take class. Okay, so class, test query, it has some data. Okay, finish. So it has already set everything for me. So id, name, description, these are the column names of my table. Automatically the columns got created for my grid view. The data will be presented here. Okay, we will run and see this one, what it will give the result. So you can see id, name, description, and the table data whatever is there on my database, it gives same data back. Okay, so the next step is the data source. We have to add few columns here. Okay, so add new column, you click on add new. So whatever you want to define, you can define by using this one. So okay, add new column. So bound field means you are binding a column to the grid view, so that whatever you are binding, that will be displayed. Checkbox field, okay, if you want to select multiple things or a few of the things, all the things, that time you can use checkbox field. Hyperlink field, that is just to navigate from one system to one page to another page, just like our link labels in WinForms. And then button field, to execute some action, a button will be placed next to each row. Command field, so command field, I will come back to this. Image field, if you want to keep some image on grid view, you can use this. Template field, this is another, if you want to format your text in a different way, you can use that. Dynamic field, this one newly introduced in 4.5 framework, so this is not that much required. Okay, now come back to command field. The command field is mainly used to execute few commands. It can be a select, so CRUD operations, so basic CRUD operations. So a select means read, create, you can have new record, if you want to create, you can create. Okay, add, edit, you can edit, delete, you can delete. Okay, these kind of operations you can do. Header text, I am giving actions. So delete, select, edit and update. Okay, so these things I am giving and click on OK. It got created everything. Okay, so we'll run and we can see this, but before that what we have to do is this data source you have to provide commands. Like select means anyway the command got created. Okay, this data source you can see the select command is already given, select star from class. Okay, so you want to perform update, right? So what you can do is you can define update command that equal update set class name equal to @name. So whatever column bound to your the bound field name. So data field is name. Okay, so this bound field means this is just used to display the cell value, the table cell value from your SQL server. Okay, so the data field means which column value you want to bind it to this field, so that one you are going to define it here. Okay, so we defined here. So once you did update, from which field I have to get the value, that is @name. So this grid view internally maintains all these things. So the name conversion @name you have given means it will fetch directly from the text box. So nowhere we created a text box here. Okay, automatically it gets the value from, it creates a text box on the page and it gets the value from the text box and pass to this command. Okay, same way description equal to @description where id equal to @id. Okay, same way you can define delete command. Okay, like this we can define commands here. This kind of facility is only available in GridView. No other data controls support this kind of feature. Okay, we'll run and see this one. So now try to edit this. Okay, MSC2, I'm changing it to MSC, update it. So set, so sorry, this one name updates class, command some wrong. So now it got updated. Okay, if I want to delete a record I can use delete. So that got deleted. If you see in my SQL server also, the data won't be there. So you guys are getting it right. Grid view, this is very important. Maybe some places in India they ask in interviews to write some machine test and they will ask to populate the data in grid view. You can see there is no 7th standard, 9th standard is there. Let me delete that too. So 9th standard gone. If you see it here, 9th standard is not there. So edit, you can edit the button commands automatically got changed, and update means it will get update, and edit, cancel means it will get cancelled. So these kind of operations by default provided by grid view, and there is you have written the very minimum lines of code. What you have written is only the update command and delete command. Remaining all got generated by your grid view. Okay, isn't it cool? Okay, so allow paging, give it true. Okay, and page size you can give some two numbers, means so far my web page is displaying four four records now. So if I want to restrict this one, at a time it has to show only two, and next when they click on the second page number, that time if they want to see the remaining records, like that, two at a time, I can use. What I have to do is I can enable I have from source code side I have set this size. If you want to do this from design side, you can just click on this smart, we call it as smart icon. This is available for all the controls in ASP.NET. You just click on this smart icon. You can see enable paging, enable sorting also there, you can enable it. Okay, enable editing, enable deleting, enable selection. So all these you have provided. Okay, now, and page size, by using properties of this data grid view you can do. Okay, grid view 1, and here some property may be there. So page size is there, default it is 10. What I am doing is I am going to do it as 2 only. So now it is only 2. Now running this page, we will see what. So only two pages are there, two records are there. Now go to second page, it displays the remaining two here, and you can sort the view by a particular column name. Okay, here plus to final year. Okay, F is first and P is next alphabetically. So these are disordered, and if you want to see in an order way, by the column name, you can see final year, MSc. Okay, entire record set will be ordered by that particular column and it will display. Okay, same way actions is not there. ID, if you want, you can do by ID. So all these are by default provided by your grid view, and no other control in your ASP.NET provides these many features. That's the advantage of grid view. And many people still means from the beginning of grid view, still people are using, when the grid view first introduced, from then people are still using this grid view because of these many features supported by your grid view. Okay, and even this grid view has some styling things. You have row style. Okay, and then alternate row style, something is there. So alternate row style you can define. So this one by default white color has taken. Item style means, okay, row style means the regular. So alternate means the first on my page, this is the first row, this is row style, this is alternate row style. You can define these things here. So this is another important question in interviews. So how you can set the background of alternate row in grid view? So by using alternating row style property. Okay, so by using this you can style grid views even more. Okay, any doubts on this? Are you guys are clear? Because this is very important for interviews, and even to start your career, grid view is very important. Okay, so fine. This is grid view. So this is from all from front end. If you want to do that from back end also, you can do. Back end, front end means ASP.NET, back end means C#. So this is my grid view sample.aspx page. This one I have bind the data from code behind. Okay, just like from our WinForms how we bind the data, the same way I bind the data for this very first control. Okay, and you can do the delete operations whatever through methods. Means if you want to validate something and if you want to process something, so that is the first approach is the very basic by using grid view. This second approach people will follow the second approach because they need to validate so many things before performing any action. So there you are editing some data and you are deleting some data, so you are not taking any confirmation, directly you are doing everything. Okay, there is no nothing, so there is directly you are performing. So if you want to validate some information and if you want to do some kind of processing before updating or inserting data from grid view operations, you can do that by using few operations or few events that are specific to your grid view. Okay, so you can see the events from this action button. Okay, just click on it and you can see many events. Row deleting, so my second grid view you can see edit, delete and select. So different actions or commands are there. So when you click on that delete, so a deleting event, row deleting event will be fired. That can be catched by your C# and you can write some event like this and you can handle. It will return which row you are trying to delete. That row index will be returned to this method. Okay, so that you can handle and you can do whatever operations you want to do. Same way, if you are editing, you are clicking on edit, so row editing event will be executed. Same way, if you are clicking on select, select index changing event will be fired. Okay, same way you have row updated, row updating, row deleted, row deleting. Means deleting means during delete operation and deleted means once the operation is completed. Same way selected index changing, during changing, and changed means it is changed. So these are the events. If you want to handle it from backend, you can do that, or if you want to do directly in grid view, you can do in this way which I explained it first. Okay, this is very important control in entire ASP.NET. You will get more questions on this control and you will use this control. I am sure uh, you will use this control very often during your career. Okay, ASP.NET career. Okay, so any doubts on this control? Are you guys are clear? Okay, I hope you guys are clear. So like this, we have many other controls. One is in this row we have repeater. This is another important control. So the same way, how many features, lot many features are supported by grid view. The same way, it is a heaviest control in ASP.NET. The most heaviest control in ASP.NET is your grid view. Okay, it supports many operations, it supports many bindings, and it supports a lot of styling thing, everything. But heaviest means the term heaviest in ASP.NET means, so if you use a grid view in your ASPX page, to load that page it takes lot of time. To load the data in grid view from client side it takes lot of time. That's the very important question. So still people likes to use this control. Okay, so that is a disadvantage of grid view. Advantages, you can see this is only the control supports many features when you compare to other data controls in ASP.NET. Okay, and then we have a repeater. This is also same. Okay, repeater sample. I have this one. This is also same, very same with like to grid view, but it won't support the editing, deleting, and adding, cancelling, that kind of commands, and the row bound and other things. It won't be automatically generated. The column names or other things. What it requires is a data source. You can say it. So the data source can be SQL Server, whatever we discussed about data source controls in the beginning. The same data source controls you can use, but here only thing, you can write HTML code for it. So it supports basically four templates actually. One is header template. So in my this page, if you see, all the column names comes under header template. Okay, same way if you want something, so pagination we have seen right here. So this comes under footer template, and in between header and footer we have this is body template. It can have item template and alternate item template. The same features also supported in repeater. One is header template, another is item template. If you want, you can copy paste the same thing, and you can define your alternate item template. Okay, so not supported. Let me check this. Alternating masculine is mistake. So this is alternating template. Okay, why it is how it differs is you can change the color of this one. So this is CSS. Sorry guys, I forgot to give you some document. Okay, the document I will share with you guys, or I will give you the link before closing this class. Okay, color alias blue. Okay, so you have this is the tag. So I was telling you less than percentage and percentage greater than, in between that whatever we have right, that is ASP.NET server side scripting code, and it can be C#. So evaluate means whatever data source you have bind to your repeater, from that evaluate and find that property or column name in the data source. So it evaluates that for each row and replaces the value here. Repeater, it repeats through the data source. Means your SQL server, you are writing a simple query, select star from class. So it may return some 4 or 5 records. So it repeats through or iterates through each row, and it presents the data here. Just like a for each loop you have written, and you are writing data to your web page, something like that. All these data controls, they do like that. Okay, we'll run this and we'll see. So you can see, oh, this one style I have given alias blue. This one I could have given background color. So now you can see, right? That is a differentiator, the alternating item template. Okay, if you want to give the same features like edit, update, and delete, you have those templates also in this, but you have to manually implement those templates, and support is there, but you have to manually implement those templates. Like grid view, it won't support by default. Okay, you have to write the code, and repeater is the simplest and the very less weight control. in ASP.NET so that it loads very fast on your web page. Okay, people with experience they suggest not to use grid view, use only repeater. Okay, but still people likes to use grid view that provides that much comfort for the developers. Okay, these two are the very important controls so far in ASP.NET. From 3.5 ASP.NET they introduced a new control called list view. Okay, as grid view is heaviest control and repeater is very lightweight control, and repeater doesn't provide many features, and whereas grid view provides many of the features, and there is no in between control, but list view is more advanced and it has its own features. Okay, the data source for grid view or repeater whichever you bind. So in grid view sample you can see data source we have bind data table, right? When you get it back means if you try to, if you write some data table dt equal to gv classes dot data source, if you try to do like this it won't allow you. Okay, if you cast this object to data table it won't allow you because it iterates and takes the data directly. It won't hold the data whatever you have given, whatever object you have given to this control, it won't hold that directly, but whereas list view it holds. So when you read the data back, okay, from list view you can convert that to the base object whichever you bind, and you can process through that object. That's the main advantage of list view, and it is the in between control to grid view and repeater. So it supports some features from grid view, whereas those are not supported by your repeater. Okay, so list view even it provides different templates. Okay, same way for all the controls you will get some smart tag, you use your data source and you bind it. Okay, everything is same. So configure list view, we have the option here. So you want in a grid view style, so it will directly flow. Tiled style means it will be okay, so it will be some three records in a single column and then it repeats something like that. And in some professional way you want means these are other combinations, color combinations, but grid view is one. Like grid view if you want to display you can display tiled means for each row some three columns three rows like that. Bulleted list you can use like this. Okay, flow you can use flow something like this, and single row everything will come in single row. Okay, so horizontally if you want to display all the data you can use this. So because of this list view in recent years 2005 and 3.5 framework, from there onwards this list view is available with ASP.NET, and before that we have grid view and repeater only. Okay, so this list view provides many features. It mixes up your repeater and grid view options, and you can. This is a middleweight control, and it loads very fast to your page. Okay, so we will see the option. So I am showing only the front end part, means front end how you can graphically without writing a single line of code how you can bind data to your controls. That's what I am showing you here. The same thing you can do from code behind. That's what I explained you in the grid view sample. Two grid views we have. First one that is bind through code behind, and another we bind the data from user interface. Okay, same way we can do everything to other controls also. Okay, this provides pagination. So pagination means I explained you already, that is So on a page, if you want to show a limited controls, okay, and you want to display some 10 records, and then when they click on next, the next 10 records, like that until they finish all the records, if you want to move like that. So why pagination important means, so if you display some 1 lakh records, and if you want to load 1 lakh records to your web page, okay, it will be a nightmare to read and process all the records for the users, end users. Okay, so 1 lakh records, if they see in a single shot, they will get confused, or the very first instant they don't like to see those many records on a single page. So what they would like to do is, they want to see 10 records, or some 100 records, like that. So that kind of feature you have to provide, that is called pagination or paging. Okay, pagination or paging. This somebody will ask this one for interview question. Okay, by default your list view provides the pagination and your grid view provides the pagination, whereas repeater that won't provide the pagination, and you can provide the pagination by using a different control, that is called data pager. Okay, the data pager you can directly, where is this repeater? So it is here. So we have data pager control. You can drag and drop here. Okay, this is middle layer. For this, you can choose a pager style, next, previous, and numeric. Edit pager fields. Okay, so this one you can do numeric or whatever. So this one I'll do cancel, and this, for this one you can add key. So data pager, client mode, enable paged control ID. So that paged control ID, you can give your repeater. Okay, and page size you can define like some 2 records. Okay, when you run this, class table, sorry, not this one, repeater ID I have to give. So this one I will tell you tomorrow, but this way, by using data pager, we can implement, or else let me try, let me give a last try. So control ID, data source, let me give this one. Okay, so I will explain you this one, this part only, this is pending from data controls. So by using this we can do pagination, okay, for repeater control. Okay, that is main advantage of the data pager. And this list view is nowadays, it is popular. Nor grid view or repeater are used by developers. People are like to use this data list view. Okay, so any doubts on these 3 controls? I hope you guys are understand this. So the assignment for this is, okay, so now this assignment I will edit the same assignment. So I hope you implemented all the validations for the forms. Now implement functionality to manage the data in StudentDB, school DB database, tables. Okay, so it's just like WinForms, please implement all the operations for these forms. Okay, so this can be a live project application you are doing. So you can enhance this project by adding few more tables like the staff details in a college or school and their salary details you can add. Okay, and the timetable for the classes. Okay, and the subjects you can add even subjects, what subjects are taught in each class and branch, so this you can manage. So these kind of tables you can create and you can enhance this application to whatever level you want. Okay, so with this we are done with the very important controls and the basic controls of ASP.NET. From tomorrow, okay, we will tomorrow it's Saturday, right? So from Monday we will discuss about the main theory part, how the controls are loading, how this ASP.NET is getting executed, and all other aspects we will discuss in theory part. So far we have done practicals, so we will do in theory part. Is that clear? So one part is pending, that is Ajax controls. With this data pager, Ajax controls, I will discuss on Monday. After that, 3 more classes will be there. With that, our course will end.
Sir,
Yeah.
uh, are we going to learn MVC and Web API?
Uh, can you tell me, please?
Are we going to learn MVC and Web API?
That's not part of course actually. That's a separate course. This is basic ASP.NET C Sharp SQL Server and WinForms.
Okay.
Okay. That also you can talk to your whoever your coordinator there. You can talk to them. Okay. So
Yeah.
if you guys really want those courses also, I will take those classes, but that's not part of this one. Okay. We can plan that.
Sure.
We can plan that and we can continue that class. But that's not part of this course. Those are advanced
Okay.
concepts of .NET. Okay.
Okay. I will ask and let you know.
Okay. So any more
Thank
doubts?
you.
You guys are clear. Okay. So I'm closing the class. Okay. Have a nice day and happy weekend. We'll meet on Monday. Okay. Thank you guys. Bye bye.